It is an honor to meet all the members representing Global Smooth Flotilla, and I'm really honored to see you all. And I've seen the hard work that you're doing around the globe. And I'd like to ask a question before we really introduce yourself as well. How did you come up with the word Sumud? Why the word Sumud is there in the Global Sumud Flotilla? Because that was the first word that came to my mind. Why Sumud?
Well, I mean, this turns back to the origins of the work that we have done. In the month of June, we had 3 initiatives that we were coordinating together, but organizing independently to try to break the siege on Gaza. We had Thiago and his colleagues on the Madeleine, where we get the word flotilla. We had the Maghreb, Sumud, who were organizing a convoy through land. So that's where we get the word Sumud, which is also inspired from the resilience of the Palestinian people. And we were traveling to Cairo by air, which we were in the Global March to Gaza, that is now Global Movement to Gaza. We came all together because we wanted to face all the repression that happened against these 3 movements and initiatives. Then also we got after our colleagues from Sumud Nusantara, who also joined the process of the flotilla. But we wanted to find something that represents how we feel and also have some pieces of every space. I think the most relevant part in all of it is the resilience part. So we are growing as a movement, and we hopefully continue converting this into one movement space. And the main element that would stick in any name or future perspective would be the word Sumud, because it's a true inspiration coming from Palestine. It's a true inspiration coming from Palestine.
All right, that's wonderful. We have here Thiago, and we have here Saif. Yeah, Saif, right? And we have here Mohammed. Mohammed. And we have a Cleo Nikki, right? Am I pronouncing it right?
Very well.
So could you introduce yourselves, like how you got interested in this work and where your background comes from?
Would you like me to start? Okay. So my whole name is Kleoniki Alexopoulou, as you very well pronounced. It's a Greek name, ancient Greek. It means, by the way, glory of the victory, very ambitious name. So the reasons are, of course, multiple that we are involved into this initiative. But the main reason was that since childhood, actually, or very young adult years, since I was 20, I was interested in the Palestinian cause. I had visited West Bank. We had interviewed back then, as you do now, representatives of many political organizations there. And okay, as the time passed and things became more difficult and difficult rather than solving, let's say, problems, I realized that we have to find ways to do something more let's say, active, more radical in a way. And when I saw these missions with the boat, where Thiago was involved, I was asking my friends in Greece, I come from Greece, so I was asking them, can we do something similar? Can we just increase the scale and cooperate with other people from other countries to do that? And then I saw March to Gaza via Egypt, and we had delegations all over Europe. And the final step was when we cooperated with Freedom Flotilla Coalition and Sumud. Yes.
Mariam, first of all, thank you for having us here. It's a pleasure to be talking to the people from the Maldives and all over the Islamic world. I'm Thiago Avila. I'm 39 years old, a Brazilian social environmentalist and internationalist. And since when I was 18 years old, I'm trying to understand what's happening in Palestine, trying to be supportive as well to the Palestinian cause and other just causes around the world. I actually applied to the first flotilla that I heard about in 2010 by email. I didn't have the money to join, but I suffered a lot when I saw that 10 people were killed 15 years ago on that mission. And I always admired the flotilla missions to break the siege. I thought it was a very effective way to bring awareness and to mobilize solidarity. It took many years before I started organizing the missions as well, along with a huge collective of people from all over the world. And I had the great honor being with these people for this beautiful uprising that happened the last 2 years. It was at a great cost for the Palestinian people, but it also, in my opinion, changed human history. So I'm very happy to be able to say that throughout these 2 years we did demonstrations, general strikes, missions to break the siege, by sea, by land, and by air. And we'll continue to do more because not only the Palestinians are still not free, but the world is not free.
Thank you, Mariam, for having us. And this show comes after different meetings and visits that we have been doing in Maldives, and it has been inspiring to see the dedication and commitment for our cause as Palestinians. My name is Saif Abu Kishik. I am Palestinian. Was born in Palestine and currently living in Spain. In my case, it comes within factory settings. So I didn't have the option to do something else other than fighting for our cause. And since I have been living in Spain for the past 20 years, I have been involved in building, mobilizing, and organizing solidarity work for Palestine, and very involved also in the Palestinian diaspora organization. And as Thiago said, it has been an absolute pleasure to be able to work very closely with my colleagues on discovering souls of people who see Palestine as a main pillar for a global struggle. So our path to be able to change the face of humanity that they are trying to draw for us comes at a great cost, as Thiago said, for Palestinians, but is inspired by dedication for justice and for rights that Palestinians have been showing us for the past 80 years or more. And we are committed to be part of this struggle and to expand it and basically look at the scope of a global movement that targets oppression and crimes everywhere against humanity. So thank you.
Hi Mariam, Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for having us, to you and the people of Maldives. It is an honor to be here for my second time. The first time we're actually here on a demonstration that you guys did for the Palestinians, and we saw the spirit and the empathy you had for what was happening in Palestine. I am Nadi Al-Nouri from Malaysia, and I have been living in the Gaza Strip for 10 years, since 2013 to 3 weeks before the genocide started in 2023. I'm also married to a Palestinian in 2016, and alhamdulillah, as of now I have 8 kids, and I have been doing work for Palestine as most of the people here. But I think I am the most, how do you say, it's opposed to flotillas up to what we did with the GSF. I was living in Palestine. I saw the flotillas that went to the shores of Gaza to trying to break the siege. And as someone who was in Gaza at that time, able to help the people directly there, I was saying these people are, just as some of the others are saying today, they are doing this for the purpose of the cameras, they are doing this for the purpose of the media. They will not be able to enter Gaza. But once the genocide started and we couldn't anymore get into Gaza and our help was stuck in the borders, we had to try to find alternatives. So we created the Sumut Nusantara, which is a collection of 10 countries in Southeast Asia and South Asia, also consisting of the Maldives. And we told the people from the Global Sumut Flotilla, why are you doing all this big global work and not involving us? So we kind of forced them to let us enter, and then alhamdulillah they agreed. So here we are, and we are trying to get bigger and better at what we are doing together, inshallah.
I think you did the right thing by forcing them to put you in the cause. All right, so the Global Sumut Flotilla, it was initiated last year, I believe, right? Yes. So do you have an Indian plan for future?
Yes, definitely. We have a new mission. We understand, Mariam, that our task is still incomplete. The Global Smooth Flotilla had a huge impact in the whole world. When we check the numbers that we reach only in our communication team, we can see that we actually reach billions of people. In a planet of 8 billion people, I believe that the Palestinian people have the hearts and the minds of the people looking for them. But the thing is that despite having awareness and having the support in their hearts and in their minds, Palestinians are still living through genocide that has 8 decades. And The blockade is still there. This fake ceasefire plan, this fake peace plan from Trump and Netanyahu are still putting the Palestinians under huge threat and violations every day. The blockade is still there. An average of 253 trucks are entering Gaza each day, which is less than half of what was agreed in the ceasefire, less than one quarter what the UN said that is the needed amount to enter Gaza daily to maintain basic conditions of life. The yellow line has been taking land into Gaza and occupied by the Israeli forces over there. What they didn't achieve in 2 years of escalating of genocide, they are achieving now with this fake ceasefire. And without the people understanding that this is happening. And also they have been bombing, attacking with rifles, attacking with drones at people. Over 420 people have been killed since the ceasefire in less than 3 months. So we understand that despite the achievements that we had, the Global Smooth Flotilla still has a task to fulfill, to break the siege, to create a people's humanitarian corridor that can deal with the horrific situation created by the genocide, but also to be side by side with the Palestinians to rebuild Gaza. We say that neither Trump's horrific resorts, neither Netanyahu's hateful settlements and colonies in Gaza, the Palestinian people need to rebuild Gaza with the self-determination, with the right to live in peace, and we'll be there side by side with them, bringing hundreds, maybe 1,000 doctors, bringing teachers, bringing eco-builders, bringing people from all walks of life to be there in this historical task. For us, this is the greatest honor that we can imagine, but depends on us breaking the siege and entering Gaza this time. And we really want to have the whole world together with us, not only at sea, but also on land, mobilizing everywhere, and the biggest uprising we've ever seen. That's what we're trying to achieve with all of our efforts here. We're like little ants running around everywhere, a lot of collective work trying to accomplish this. And we hope, inshallah, that we will succeed.
Inshallah. What's the estimated number you are expecting this year? Is it going to be increased, or is it going to be same as last time?
Well, as Diego said, the aim is not only to arrive and break the siege, but also to participate actively in the reconstruction of Gaza, which means that we need to include in our mission specialized sectors of people. So, for example, we want to have a health sector participation, doctors, nurses, psychologists joining us. We want to include eco-builders that also participate with the Palestinians to rebuild houses, schools, and hospitals and infrastructure. We want to support the education part with also teachers coming from different countries, languages. So we hope that we will be above than 3,000 participants within this flotilla. More boats and more people, but not just sailing, but entering and staying in Gaza. And it's very important element. Global Smooth Flotilla is not about a sea mission. It's about a global movement. So we want to push also through land to try to break the siege. At the same time, we want to have mobilizations happening in complicit countries like Europe, mobilizations that are happening globally at the same time. We participate in organizing the strike in Spain on the 15th of October. We called for the 29th of November for the Solidarity Day, and now we want to mobilize for an international day of action for the 31st of January because of the Palestinian hostages. Around 10,000 Palestinians, many of them through administrative detention in Israeli prisons. So we want to be engaging with people everywhere, and not only for people to understand that their participation happens that just through sailing, but enabling this mass mobilization. For the first time since 2 years of genocide, last June, we have seen the people coordinating together everywhere. We have started to bring together global action. And this power that we are exploring together with all movements, it's important to build on and try to continue connecting people. We have been traveling around in different countries. Our presence here in Southeast Asia, in Maldives, in Malaysia, not only to speak about Palestine, but also we have been learning about the struggles that are happening here. We have been learning about what people are fighting for and what they want to improve in their life. And it's very interesting that there is a fundamental element to the presence of Israel in everywhere, and to the presence of the imperialist powers that want to control the resources of people. So those common shared spaces and struggles are our aim. And if we have to sail, we will sail. If we have to march, we will march. Whatever type of action will bring us together, this is a tool. So we will work on it. But the main concept is a global movement for people everywhere fighting against these crimes.
What you mentioned about the role of Israel, just today or yesterday, news came out in Greece that some Israeli, I don't know, partners, anyway, some type of partners of the government affected negatively, I mean, the elections, the last elections. So when you see that, it's not about, for me, it's not about a moral, cause, bad and good, I don't know, devil and God, etc. It's not so interesting, this discussion for me. It's very interesting to see how things are connected in global politics, how political representation is affected. And it's not only about Palestinian people who are severely damaged by these policies, by the policies of the United States, and especially Trump administration, but even before Trump was elected. So we see examples in many countries, and we have to build this international network also for our own sake, not only for the Palestinians, which makes it even more, let's say, equal. It's not a matter of charity. It's a matter of equal struggle from many points of the world.
All right, thank you. This fleet didn't occur in 2025, and you mentioned about 2010 that was probably the first one that occurred, right? And there are a lot of casualties there that during that time, and there was a follow-up in 2011 and 2015, and then 2005, and we had this, right? My question is, based on the experiences and lessons learned from the past, how are you going to minimize the casualties that might occur in the future, or the one which you're going to have in the future?
You know that the history of attempt to break the siege comes with the creation of this horrific siege itself. In 2005, the Israelis with Ariel Sharon government, they removed all their colonies from Gaza. 2006, they bombed Gaza and they tried to invade Lebanon. 2007, they closed Gaza by land, sea, and by air. People saw that with shock, but maybe it was still hard to understand that they were creating the world's biggest concentration camp and now extermination camp over Gaza. And the very next year, 2008, started the first sea missions. Before, it was not even the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. It was called the Free Gaza Movement. And the first 5 missions, they made it to Gaza. But then Israel started to intercept every single mission that attempted to get there. Once that movement understood that they were being intercepted successive times, they said, we need to have a bigger mission. And then 2010 came with the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, where they killed 10 people. And they had to have the very hard decision to keep on going. Like you said, 2011. And then year after year, attempting new missions. And we've seen from 2018 an interruption on the sea missions trying to break the siege. But it returned with the escalation of the genocide. And we've been failing so many times to try to get to Gaza, that they bombed our boat in May last year between Malta and Italy. They did bureaucratic warfare so many times. They did sabotage in our boats. They put acid on our water tanks. They put ropes in our propellers on our boats. They tried everything. Even on the Global Smooth Flotilla, they attacked us 4 times before the illegal kidnapping and interception. They bombed us with incendiary drones in Tunis, one night after the other. They bombed us 14 times on a single night between Italy and Greece. And they sent, the day before our interception, they sent a military vessel that destroyed all of our electronics with some kind of technology that we don't even know. So they've been attacking us and trying many ways. So what we've been trying is to build upon the legacy of all this knowledge that has been created. But not only that, because we know that what's happening now is unprecedented in the level of violence, in the level of cruelty that they are using. So what we are trying to do, and this mobilization in Nusantara here, the Sumud Nusantara and all the region, is that we understood that the Palestinian people, like Trump said, are not alone. Trump had to admit when he had to accept that he failed in the ethnic cleansing project, that he said, I said to Netanyahu over the phone that you cannot fight the whole world by yourself. He was actually acknowledging all the work of the people. So when we see here how much the people in the Maldives, they support the Palestinian people, they just want to know how to be useful, how to help this cause, we understand that it's much bigger than us. So what Nadir and the team have been doing in Malaysia but people have been doing in Indonesia, in Pakistan, in so many countries, in Sri Lanka, and the Maldives as well. It's what we believe that it must be done, that everybody everywhere in the world needs to understand that this is a decisive moment, not only for the Palestinian cause, but like Cleo said, for our future as well. The same violence that the Zionists promote in Palestine, they use it as a laboratory to replicate everywhere else. So here we had a beautiful case that I believe Nadir is the best person to talk about how come the support that people has in their hearts here can be turned into concrete action for the next time. We are really counting on that.
I think the question goes to you.
Thanks for being the next moderator. I think the issue that we have today in what is happening in Gaza is that all the people of the world are seeing it live on their telephones and on their television screens, but they don't know what they can do and how to achieve it. So what the GSF is giving is a chance for everyone to take action, to do the little that they can in any way that they can. And by doing that, they are being able to be on the right path of history. So we were actually planning to do a land convoy from Malaysia, and then we saw that it would take 2 months. So we did a smaller version of it in Thailand, in Indonesia, and all the other surrounding countries, in the Philippines. We arrived in Kuala Lumpur, and all these 10 countries, even people from the Maldives came to support us. We had 100,000 people who are being taught about what was happening inside of the Gaza Strip. And our Prime Minister was talking to the masses. And after that, we sent all these delegations to go on the boats. I think that is something that is quite far from what we have been doing in Southeast Asia and South Asia. We have brothers here who have been working for Palestine for such a long time. But our work as of now or before the first GSF was by doing donations, talking in mosque, doing work that is and has been doing for such a long time, but has not managed to stop the war that is happening. It has not managed to change the narrative. It has not managed to awaken the whole world to go against the Haspara that is happening by the Zionists. And this other alternative that has been shown by our brothers in Europe and Brazil, in those other countries, has shown us that we can actually be the soldiers that are moving our own hands and legs to reach the place, to do something, to support the work, and to be a part of stopping the genocide with our strength and with our minds. And that is what we are hoping all of these countries in our part of the world to do together.
And one thing that we are aware of is there is no one who can guarantee any action from Israel. It's a criminal government that no one can guarantee the safety. So the question about casualties, it's not something that we can control. It's up to us. And believe me, we don't sail because it's a nice trip. We don't sail because we would like to cross the Mediterranean. We are sailing because governments are failing, because the ones who are supposed to protect humanity, the ones who are supposed to protect civilians, are watching and even complicit in the crimes and genocide that is happening. So it is on us, it is on civil society to take action. And we are exploring all options. We have tried to go through land, which we will try again. We have tried to go through air, and we did sail, and we tried to bring all those people together, and we will continue to do it. So it's not about one option. And the other thing that we can do is to watch. And we don't want to be that part of generation. We don't want to be asked a question in 15 years or 20 years, what have you done to stop genocide? Because it is impacting every human. There is no one around the world that can say, I didn't know. And there is no one that can accept the starvation of children only for the purpose of starvation. That basic humanitarian needs are used as weapons for extermination of a total population. Not taking a stand, not taking an action today is part of complicity. We cannot just depend on casual conversations that we express our anger or our dissatisfaction with the inactions of our own governments. It is on us to be proactive and to look for any method that we can do to support the cause and end the genocide that is happening. And the question of what may or may not Israeli do, it's on Israel. It's not on us. We don't violate international law. The sailing is protected by international law. We don't enter into Israeli waters. We are in international waters and we try to approach Palestinian territorial waters. Israel violates the international law by intercepting violently boats in international water. They violate international law by kidnapping a humanitarian activist from the middle of the sea and taking them by force into prison and then deporting them, accusing them that they have entered illegally into Israel. They violate international law and they attack the sovereignty of the countries that have the flags of our boats, and they confiscate the boats. But they act as criminal as they are. And we cannot hold ourselves into what they want to do or what they may or may not do. And this is a psychological process that any oppressor authority apply on people, that we want to terrify others so they choose the inaction part. We want to terrify people so they choose to be silent. And we are refusing to be silent. Not because we are better than others, not because we want to be heroes. It's actually not us, the story. Anything that we do is not compared to what a Palestinian child in Gaza has to deal with in a second of time under all those bombings and genocide and attacks and starvation. It's not even about us. But we are part of this process because we can see that this is expanding. We have seen what happened in Venezuela. We have seen what happened in Sudan, what just happened in Somalia, what happens in other countries of Africa, what happened in Brazil. And this story of crimes and genocide is just gonna become the new norm of the humanity imposed by those imperial structures. We don't want this to be our norm. It's as simple as that. If Israel attacks us, it's on them. We have to stop blaming people for being proactive. We have to stop blaming people and say, hey, you have to think about what they are going to do to you. No, they are the criminals. They have to be held accountable for criminal actions, and we have to motivate civil society to strike and march and organize direct action, like the protesters in the hunger strike in the UK. The UK government is committing criminal actions against civilians who participated in direct action to stop arms. They haven't attacked people in the street. They haven't committed crimes. Pacific actions because companies on UK land producing weapons that are being used against genocide, and they have been on hunger strike and for around 50 days and facing death right now and risk because of the imprisonment by the UK government. This is the illegal action that governments are doing to oppress people. We shouldn't be asked about those. They should be held accountable for it. Yeah.
And may I make an analogy? I'm really eager to make this analogy because this has happened many times throughout history and people have short memory. I forgot before to mention that I'm a historian. So I try always, to compare different periods. And when the Nazi regime, for example, was exterminating people, okay, not all people in the whole world knew exactly how, the methods they used, but they knew that they invade other countries and they kill people. Anybody could tell my grandfather, don't become a partisan, don't try to resist in Greece or in any other place, because you will have consequences. Seriously, this is the blame. So the blame game goes to the victim, actually. And my grandfather was driven to the Nazi camps along with many Jewish people. He had many friends of Jewish religion. And we see clearly in my family now that the position is, there are opposite positions now. That Israel is in the position of the oppressor. This is crystal clear for historians. I think the only ones who resist to this idea are actually manipulating empirical data and narratives to do propaganda, of course, which is expected, by any state.
Yeah, people tend to change the history and write their own so that the future generation will not recognize the truth. I think that's what's happening right now at this very moment. I believe the cause of this fleet, which you're going to have this year as well, you're looking for an outcome, right? So how are you going to measure the outcome, the success of it?
The first thing that we put is that we want to be useful for the Palestinian cause and for the Palestinians as a whole. in Gaza, in the West Bank, in the territories occupied in 1948, and the Palestinians in the diaspora. That's the main measure that we do. Are we being useful to this cause? Because we answer to the calling of the Palestinians. We don't go, like Saif said, we don't go because we want, we go because it's necessary. The Palestinians, we use a nonviolent tactic on our mission, our humanitarian, nonviolent, direct action mission. And the Palestinians have been using the same tactics for years. What was the Great March of Return that the Palestinians tried to do and been assassinated by the hundreds in Gaza's fences by Israeli snipers, and the world was completely silent about that. A beautiful nonviolent mission. What was the first Intifada and people doing barricades and doing all types of mobilization? What is the campaign for decades now of boycott, divestments, and sanctions? What was the hunger strikes of the 10,000 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli dungeons? 400 of them are children in these dungeons. And they've been doing hunger strikes, and the world is completely silent about it. So the Palestinians have been trying to use the same methods and trying to reach the hearts and the minds of the people for them to move for 8 decades now. 8 decades of genocide and ethnic cleansing of an apartheid colonial state, and led by this racist and supremacist ideology called Zionism. So what we've been doing, first of all, is try to be useful. That's the first measure. Are we being useful or not? We know that we always try to measure when we are planning an action, to do an equation, the risk that we're going to undertake versus the impact that we aim to achieve. And like Saif said, we know that the risk is very, very high. When we go on a mission where they're directly trying to threaten our lives and directly saying that they would bomb us and attack us and imprison us and charge us for absurd crimes that they are the ones committing, we know that there are risks involved. And we've literally been attacked and bombed quite a few times on these missions. But whenever we think about the impact, that we can be useful for the most important struggle of our generation right now, because to stop this engineering of the genocide that involves Zionism, but also involves the United States imperialism as well, like Cleo said, interfering in all countries, is definitely worth the risk. So the measure that we do is how come through our action, more people became aware of the Palestinian amazing resilience and resistance that they're doing in historical Palestine and abroad. That's the first thing. If they advanced and became stronger and got more connected to the people, if we manage to echo their voices in any way we can, that's the first measure. The second thing is how come this helped also to build an organized solidarity internationally, not only with Palestine, but with all the just cause. Like Saif said, we're trying to organize an internationalist mass movement, because the same rifles that they test in Palestinian bodies and they put a stamp on it and sell it more expensive in weapons fairs, they like field tested, they use against the black youth in the Brazilian favelas, and they use to repress and to persecute Colombian people in demonstrations or in the countryside and indigenous communities. And they use the same tear gas that they test with Palestinians, they use in demonstrations in Greece or in Italy, everywhere else. So this evil is connected everywhere, and our solidarity needs to be connected as well. So the main measures, the main indicators of our success is not how many boats actually made to Gaza, but how much has the Palestinian cause for their liberation has advanced through this mobile direct action that we made. So that's the main thing. So that's why when people say that we didn't get to Gaza on the previous mission, we were intercepted, and say that we failed, we say, look, we had at least the minimum we can say that we had a partial victory. Yes, we didn't manage to create the humanitarian corridor, and that is still a task that is incomplete. But billions of people became aware of what we are doing. Billions of people were brought into their imagination that they can say truth to power, that they can defy oppressive regimes, that they need to act right now. That's the indicator of the success.
So I believe with that ripple effect, a lot of people will become aware as well, empowered to do more. They do whatever they can, probably from their homes also, like writing about it also can pass the message to a lot of people as well. So probably that is also one of the outcome you're looking for.
Yeah, we always say in our missions, we don't just want to break the siege, but we also want to break the silence. And I think speaking from a Malaysian perspective, a Maldivian perspective, we are facing different challenges from what they are facing in Greece, in Brazil, stuck in Europe, or some other countries that are opposed to what they are doing. We are living in conditions that allow us to move freely and do what we want, say what we want. No one is going to arrest us for Palestinian demonstrations. But that is also causing our youth to be, how do we say it, complacent in what is happening. They are not getting involved better in these types of movements. And even in some sense, when we see countries, our brothers in Pakistan and in Indonesia, for example, who are being courted by the Israelis to join efforts of the ISF, International Stabilization Forces, it is making us ask not even if we are doing enough, but if we are doing the right thing. As Tiago said, we first of all want to be useful to the Palestinian cause. Sometimes you think that we are doing the right thing, but at the end of the day, we are proving to be more of use to the Israelis and the American agenda more than to what the Palestinians are doing. So we have a bigger job to do, because we cannot see the enemies in front of us fighting face to face, but actually they are deep down doing something to damage our youth and our communities.
And honestly, we make a huge mistake if we look about the fight and the struggle for Palestine as a sprint run. Palestinians have been resisting for 80 years. If we are going to take any specific action and have an immediate result of it and say, oh, this did not arrive to Gaza or it did not break the siege, so it's not successful, we are making a huge mistake, because we are not even being inspired by the people who decide to go to their olive harvest every year, knowing that settlers are going to attack them. And somebody might ask them and say, why would you go to pick olive? Because you know the settlers are going to attack you when you go to pick olive. But this is the resilience, the resistance, the insistence to continue trying once and improve and try to go again and again. The kids who want to go to their school knowing that the checkpoint is blocked today and tomorrow and the day after, and they still wake up in the morning and they want to go to their school. These examples that are coming from Palestine managed to make the Palestinians stay alive, resisting, wanting to rebuild their country for the past 8 years. If not, they would have given up at the first action, at the first retaliation that they have received from Israel. They would say, oh, we cannot do anything, so we better sit down and wait until they take the land. And the same would be for us. We haven't reached Gaza, so why should we try again? Why should we continue creating awareness? If you look at what has been achieved since the mission until right now, for the first time, 16 countries, many of them are coming also from Europe. They made a statement, declaration, warning Israel about violation. 2 or 3 military boats for the first time joined part of the mission. An emergency boat came and participated in the mission until the interception. 44 countries, people from 44 countries participated. Demonstrations happened for the first time in hundreds of locations at the same time for the interception and the day after. And it's because people have seen the aggression and seen the interception as part of the attack on the Palestinian people. They haven't treated this as something different. They just saw a one crime more that Israel is committing against solidarity movement and against the Palestinian people. So we cannot just look at the main outcome. Of course, our determination for the next mission is to reach to Gaza, and for the doctors, teachers, and builders to be able to enter and participate in the reconstruction in Gaza. Along that process, there are many, many, many goals that we have, and that's where we base our step by step. Every solidarity action, in my opinion, as a Palestinian, is an accumulative process in the long run for the liberation of Palestine. Every single action adds one step forward in this process. The people who stand in the square giving leaflets just to increase awareness about the situation, they are doing something that will bring us closer to liberation. people who organize hunger strike, people who organize direct action, unions who are organizing their strikes at the ports or at the companies that are complicit with Israel, people who go to give talks like the ones that we have been doing around just to increase awareness and to tell people about Palestine and invite them to participate, people who march through cities to try to also make internal pressure, people who do interviews to also pressure the media to be less complicit and to start to speak about the situation, parliamentarians who speak loudly in government spaces, because we need also that political advocacy. So all those spaces together, and then the organization of the break the siege actions is part of this collective process. So everyone is bringing an element. I think the way that we have to start to see all those collective actions is the added value of every action. Instead of entering into a conversation of what is better to do than the other, let's allow people to be creative in the spaces where they are. This is what you are able to do, then go and do it and organize. I don't need to compete with you. You want to organize strikes, please do it. You want to organize humanitarian missions, do it. You want to sail and mobilize the people, do it. The element that we have brought this time worked on so many levels. So we had people sailing, we had people protesting, we had people giving interviews, we had people going to parliaments and making meetings with the politicians to pressure them. We had people organizing stands and strikes. We had the unions in Italy. 4 million persons since so many years went out and organized strike. We managed to bring this combination together. So you have to look at the measurement of success into the gradual and long process of the Palestinian struggle and liberation project, not measured on a specific action, but on the vision that you want to achieve. Have we came closer into building a global movement? We have 44 countries that are actively participating together. Did we say that we want to organize on land? We did, and we are doing it. We are now traveling, also meeting with local people. We have met our colleagues in Maldives. Tiago was in Chile. I was in Colombia. We have other colleagues who have been traveling around. So we are truly bringing this movement together, all of us as a collective process, and not for the benefit only of Palestine or one specific nation, but within the context of a global solidarity internationalist movement that is focusing on this repression. I think we have also to start to see the challenge that people are putting today in front of structures that are corrupt and is trying to create an ignorant generation. When Nadir speaks about the young people and their involvement, because they are influenced by this environment, an environment that try to create a narrative. It's not your concern. Don't worry about them. Think about your life. Think about your school, student, how you are going to be paid, what house you will live in, what future you will have. Focus about yourself. And we see parents also telling their kids about it. Hi, don't listen to the news. You have to go to study. You have to focus on this. And we create a culture that people and societies should be so individual that they don't have to think about their neighbor, about the difficulties and challenges that are happening in their own street. How imagine to think about a country that is thousands of kilometers away from them, which in reality, as we just explained by examples, what is happening in Palestine is at the doorsteps of every country, because it represents an example that can be replicated of crimes and repression when silence allows it to happen and continue. So we have to look at measurement of success from that perspective of awareness, of mobilization, of interconnection, of struggles, of even people who are coming from different faiths. We had meetings with people who are Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, and the question is not about what you believe in. It's about this common ground that brought us together. And this is something that clash of civilization has been happening around for a long time. Try to discriminate or criminalize a certain group of people by accusing them of being terrorists or by accusing them of being ignorant or any of that, all for the purpose of creating a complicit, individualist, silent society. So this is our real struggle, to change that and to every day become closer, because the liberation of Palestine is the liberation of everyone, where we stand against this structure that is imposing all of it on us.
All right, so what is the role of the partners in an organization like International Aid Campaign? What can they do for you in this cause?
Yeah, I think the International Aid Campaign from the Maldives is a very strong partner that we have we have partners from Pakistan, from Sri Lanka, from the Philippines, and all of these diverse partners, all of them play each role depending on how they are organizing in the past. For example, the Philippines has not been that vocal in the past about Palestine. But as of now, they are the ones doing demonstrations each week. They are the ones doing competitions for Palestine, singing competitions for the children. So they are rising up. But for the IAC, for example, in the Maldives, you have a long, long history of moving the masses in the Maldives to work for the people of Palestine. But as we said, we are offering, or we have offered, and they have given their hand to us to be working in a different venue, a venue that we have not tried before. We asked the IAC to be a part of Sumut Nusantara and the Global Sumut Flotilla. I think a few days after the Sumut Nusantara was organized, and they actually did not only talk about being a part of the organization, but also were able to give funds to buy boats. And even though they are not a big group, but they were there on the ground in Tunisia. Brother Ibrahim Shaz was actually on the observer boats with me. He traveled with me for more than 1 month, and he was like one of the most helpful people there on the boats, always running all over the place, trying to do something, trying to help. And that is something I think is the spirit of the Maldivian people themselves. What we hope from IAC and the people of Maldives in the future is we are very, very certain that you as an island nation, you have the skill set that we really need. You are the actual people of the seas. You are the only country in the world that when you look out of your window in any direction, you will see the sea. So we need your captains, we need your technicians, we need your boat engineers, we need all that you can give us to be part of this big, big movement. And as what we have seen by visiting your foreign minister, your speaker of parliament, and the cooperation that you have shown in the past, I think that is something that you will be able to give in the next GSF 2.0.
Since the casualty occurred in 2010 because of the fleet, and you were also under confinement, right? Like lockdown. So there might be people who will be asking, like, these activists, why are they risking their lives? I mean, despite knowing that these are the things that will happen. So what message do you have for them? Other things that will happen. So what message do you have for them? For those.
Just one phrase, and then you complement that. We have two words in Greek: ζωή, επιβίωση. So life, survival. They are different things. Like life is not just to survive by any means, like not respecting any values, any universal values that they all mentioned now, and it doesn't even have to do with religion or politics, or the universal values, respect of human life and basic needs. So if you cannot fight for this, then your life will be definitely smaller, let's say. Of course, it's not a crime. I mean, you will not be condemned for it. But still, why not to try to be prouder, to raise, as we say, to become taller, also for yourself. I mean, so this is also personal and individual, actually, benefit. Mm-hmm. So there are benefits.
In the end, we see people, Mariam, from all walks of life asking themselves the same thing. Whenever they go on a boat, they ask, why are we doing this? And people come with different contexts. For example, I'm a father of a 2-year-old daughter. And whenever I think that what kind of world will she live in a world that accepts the genocide, not only in Palestine, but in Sudan, in Congo, and accepts a country to kidnap another president and to bomb another country like the United States did in Venezuela, and threatening so many countries in such a short notice of a president that thinks he owns the world. So what kind of planet are we living for these people? Because our movement's not only worried about the illegal attacks, military attacks, but we're worried about exploitation, about oppression, about destruction of nature. What will be of the Maldives with the rising sea levels? So we need to stop that. We're really not saying without meaning when we say that that is the most decisive moment of humanity's history. That every generation that comes after us is going to talk about this moment of what did we do to stop these horrific violations, but not only that, to stop a system that exploits, oppresses, and destroys nature. If we don't do this now, there's no turning back. And we believe there's nothing more important for us to use our energy, to use our life capacity right now, than to be at the service of this great cause. Because in one hand, we have a society that is collapsing and a planet that is being destroyed. And on the other hand, if we struggle right now with all the tactics, with all the people that work together, imagine the beautiful society that we can bring, where people in Malaysia Malaysia and Maldives and Indonesia and Sri Lanka and everywhere have the right to live in peace. Where our children in Palestine does not need to understand the sound of an F-35 fighter jet, does not need to understand the effect of hunger in their body, does not need to understand different drone types, that one will kill her, the other will not, does not have to see a foreign soldier trying to take over his land. So we need to build a society. There's nothing more important than that. So people, when they go on a boat like this, they feel honored to be at the service of the greatest cause of our generation. And that's, I believe that there's no better way of dedicating our lives to in this moment right now. We could be doing anything. We could be chasing careers. We could be looking to accumulate material good. Like they say, is the only way for success, in the brainwashing that they try to do with us. And we refuse that. We say, no, we have a duty to humanity, to all the living beings on this planet, and we want to do it right now.
That brings me to another question. The Gaza-Israel fight has been going over 70 years. I believe you're a historian, right? So you would know more than me. But it has been going over for over 70 years. And there are several organizations fighting and standing up and making voices and strikes and boycotting. All this are happening throughout the world, still happening. And there are some of these individuals who would think nothing is happening, like still the bombing is going on. In fact, it's becoming worse. What message would you want to give to those people who have given up and change their mindset, like, I'm done with this, I'm fed up with this?
Well, I mean, it's very natural for people to feel that way. It's not because it's something that is organized. Like there is an intention for people to feel helpless. There is an intention for people to feel that they cannot challenge those facts, that they have to just accept that crimes will happen somewhere in this world, and as long as it's not happening in my house, then I should be fine. While they are trying to educate people in that direction, people eventually will learn that it's not true that it's not happening in our house. It's not true that it's not impacting us. Governments that are making arms deals with Israel to buy, for example, weapons, they are taking budgets from education, they are taking budgets from social services, they are taking budgets from health sectors, and they are putting it there. People who say that I don't want anything to do with the crimes that are happening somewhere else, if they work at a port, they are being forced to be complicit because they are filling those boats with weapons and they are taking down the weapons. And people who are working in companies that are related to fuel and gas, they are complicit, involuntarily, but they are complicit because this war fuel that is going for F-16 airplanes and is going for tanks that are bombing Palestinians. So this sensation of this being far from us and that we cannot do anything about it and we just have to give up is a sensation that is intentionally implemented on people. The question we have to ask ourselves, comparing the challenges that we face as people in international solidarity movement outside and what Palestinians have been facing for 80 years. Did they give up? Did they stop resisting in any means possible for those so many years? We have people who were released last year from prison after 40 years of a prison. 40 years. And when they were released, the first thing they were talking about is the right of resistance for the Palestinian people. you spent 40 years, and one person would imagine, okay, they are going to go out after 40 years and they just want to look about life and learn and forget about everything that happened to them. George Abdullah, who was imprisoned for so many years in France, as soon as he arrived to Lebanon, he spoke about the struggle and the resistance and the importance of those global movements to come together. What are our challenges and suffering outside compared to the ones who are living underground, who are facing rockets and bombs on daily basis, and they still wake up in the morning? So my advice to them, be inspired. Break the chains that they are trying to put in our minds and be creative. And don't think about immediate outcomes. Don't look below your feet. We have to bring all our efforts together, looking at the long term, looking at what can happen, and be guided and grounded in our politics by what Palestinians and other people who are fighting repression. In our exploration and conversation with people, we have been finding struggles all over for so many years. Palestine is not the only country who has been colonized, and not the only country who's facing genocide. We can look about the fights of people in Africa, the fights in Latin America, the fights of indigenous people in Colombia. The people who struggle, they continue their struggle and they make it alive and they achieve an outcome. If we want to truly look for a different humanity and look for a different world, we have to be first inspired by the ones who are at the first line of confrontation, the ones who are standing in front of bombs, injustice, and saying no, regardless of all the threats that they are getting. How many journalists were killed in Gaza? Did we stop seeing Palestinians becoming volunteers as journalists? We have so many young people who proactively took their mobile cameras and became the eyes of the world just because they want to make sure that the news is coming out. People who are not trained on journalism, people who didn't study it in university, but they become de facto journalists because the situation of the ground is imposing that on them. And they were not stepped back or terrified by all the crimes that Israel is committing against journalism. Doctors working in the hospitals and not going back to their home while hospitals being bombed, while hospitals being attacked, while doctors being arrested and kidnapped from hospitals, and you still have people going to volunteer. The other day we saw a ceremony of graduation for medical students in Gaza. Beautiful, tens of students who just graduated as doctors, and they will go and serve in the hospitals. So those experiences should be the ones that ground us in our work and inspire us to continue mobilizing. And if we at any point think that what is happening in any part today, this global structure of oppression is united. The main strategy that they focus on, where we can get more resources, where we can get more control. So if at any point Maldives become an interest, it becomes a target. This is the new norm that they impose on us. If any country around the world, they discover that there is something that they can benefit from that country, they will not care about the people. They will not care about their rights or the benefits they have or how they live. They will care about stealing that benefit and taking it away. And we cannot ignore the fact that the shores of Palestine is filled with gas, natural gas. The strategic location, the geography of where Palestine is located is essential for the existence of this colonial project. So it's interest that motivates those structures and powers to take over and maintain their crimes. If this is the fundamental value, then it's going to happen everywhere. Like what happened in Venezuela because of the reserves that they have of petroleum. What will happen in any other country? It's not far from anyone. Every country can become a potential target if we don't stand as human beings. So if it's not me, it might be in the generation of my children or their children. But eventually it will impact each one of us if we contribute to create a culture of complicity. And we have to continue doing the opposite.
When you talk about standing for the right, that's the last question. I would like everyone to answer, each and everyone. My question to you is that initially at the start, some might have given up already on the mission. So what makes you keep going despite the burnout? I'm sure you must have faced a lot of disappointment, a lot of no's, sometimes looked down upon as well, cruel words, even physically attacked as well. So despite all that, what makes you thrive and still go ahead? I'll start from here.
So you're talking more about the risks we take in our own countries, in our own societies, and disappointment. Yes, yes. Okay, well, I have a concrete example. It's good that this show will not be broadcasted in Greece, so I can say whatever I want. So I'm an academic. I might lose my job, or I might become finally assistant professor. I have been trying for this 10, 15 years. So you never know actually if your involvement in a fight like this will benefit you or will harm you. It's probable to have both effects, because of course other type of people will support you and other type of people will be an obstacle to your progress. And of course, I mean, under the condition you have the qualifications. I'm not, I'm not talking. Yeah. So you never know that, and I think in life it shouldn't be the main criterion. You make mistakes actually when you do that. Now I sound like an American, life coach manager, but I really have seen that in my life. That if you can decrease fear and can decide on the basis of basic principles that you respect, usually you're not under great, let's say, danger. You somehow you honor your existence, and long term, I don't, of course there are short term, negative effects, but long term, I think it's always a better way to go.
You know, that's something that the whole world learned throughout these years is they try to frame the Palestinian people as violent people from a violent Islamic religion and from a violent Arabic ethnicity, and the world understood that this is completely false. They tried to criminalize Palestinian men, saying that they're violent, and they actually saw Palestinian men being loving and kind to their sons and with the soul of their souls, and journalists that touch the entire world with their empathy, with their kindness, with their courage, and people doing the most amazing things. And when we see Islam talking about the jihad, not the Islamophobic version that they try to talk about the jihad, but actually mobilizing for the just causes in the world, and that duty that you have to mobilize against that injustice with actions, if not with words, and if it's not, at least in your heart. It's beautiful to see. And for the people, when we are on a mission, for example, we had the situation when we were in Crete, in Greece, we were attacked the night before by 14 drones on our boats. And when we came to talk to our participants on the boat, we said, look, you've all done so much with me almost for 3 weeks on this mission. And there's nothing more we can ask of you. You've honored the Palestinian Solidarity Movement. You're in the hearts and minds of every Palestinian. They are making drawings of you in Gaza. They are doing the most beautiful things. So there's nothing more we can ask of you. If you need to leave this mission right now, we're so thankful for all that you did. We do not expect to have an easy next week. We expect to face even harder risks. We expect to live under harsher conditions. So we cannot force anybody to go. So if you go, you need to understand that it's a very high risk moment right now. And nobody gave up on that. The only very few people that needed to leave the mission between one port and the other was because they were about to lose their job, or because they had something that they really could not mend because the mission was too postponed. But nobody left because they were afraid. And it was so beautiful to see. People that 1 month before, they would never say something that will go against what a policeman was saying, or something that they see as a structure of power. And all of a sudden, they were going to the most dangerous place for people who believe in what they believe could go in the world right now. And they were going with so much kindness, so much love. And that is beautiful to see, because people understand that there's no bigger honor in our life than to be at the service of the common cause of humanity. And I believe that that's what moves us. That's why we believe that there is nothing that can stop this movement. I really believe that the Palestinian people, broadcasting their live genocide and showing what the Sumud really is, they change the history of humanity. Humanity will never be the same after billions of people learn what Zionism is, what imperialism is. Will never again believe their lies. And now they're changing their references. Now they don't want to be anymore like this actor, shallow and superficial that sell their souls for money. Now they do not believe their authorities anymore, who say that they need to continue business as usual, that they cannot do anything against a genocide. Now they don't want to be like the soccer player, which is a bad character, but is famous. Now they want to be like the young environmental activist that has the courage to do what needs to be done to change society. Now they're making drawings in school, not about material goods, but about boats full of love and solidarity. And that's why we know that history will change and we will be victorious. So what moves us is not only the honor for mobilizing, but the conviction, Mariam, that we will win this challenge. And the Palestinian people are showing that we will be victorious.
These are drawings that children make.
What's the age of the kids?
This is really young. I think 4 years old or something. This one is older, like a 9.
It's very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
I think people get motivated for different reasons. So for some of us, we also have different phases of motivation. As a Palestinian within this cause, I didn't have the luxury of election. I was born in a refugee camp. I grew up in Palestine during the first Intifada and the peace process and the beginning of the second Intifada. My both parents were in prison, both my mom and my dad. My uncles were in prison. My uncles were shot at. I was myself shot in the face. I was shot in the back. I was detained and beaten several times, more than I can remember, by the Israeli soldiers. So my youth is directly related to this relation of repression and oppression by the Israeli government. And growing up, I got this, I think, genetic resilience process, this genetic sumud of the Palestinian people, that we don't have any other option. That the only option that we have and that we learn about is to continue fighting for rights. And when I was in Palestine, I didn't have this global vision of this international process that is connecting our struggle with the struggles of the world, of all the nations. So my initial participation in this struggle in Palestine to face directly this oppressor and this criminal government. Since I went to live in Europe and I started traveling around and learning about other causes, I started to build a belief in the needs of bringing everyone together. And it took 20 years to be part of this collective, beautiful process that we see that is bringing this together. And within that path, I had my old children. I have 3 beautiful children that I have to say, since genocide started, because they come with us to all the demonstrations, and they more intrigued by what's happening in Palestine. And when we visited West Bank more than 3 years ago, before the genocide started, they had all those questions, and then they saw me being detained at the entrance at the border by the Israeli army, while everybody else is going, and they were questioning why our dad is being detained, why he's being stopped. It terrifies me, the future of my kids. It terrifies me that I won't be able to answer questions about our people, about our cause, of why we are living outside, why we are not in Palestine facing the same situation that our family, their cousins and other members of the family are facing, and friends that they managed to build relationship when we went into Palestine, and also their own identity as Palestinian, and what have we done? How did we contribute to our own people, to justice in general? So within these phases of me getting older, the motivation to continue doing this work also has evolved from a direct confrontation, because for me it was such a personal confrontation with the oppressor, into starting to build this collective belief, this collective concept of the necessity for people across the globe to work together and face injustice, starting of Palestine, into this, again, into this direct personal relation of feeling guilt of having a privilege of not being able to be directly living the same conditions that my people are living, and the fear of the answers that I might not have for my kids in some years of what have you done? You know, we went on vacations, we went out to the streets, we went to schools. What have you done to stop this? And I need to have an answer for that. So it is as personal as that. While we bring people together, for me, this global values that we want to have in a different alternative society compared to the constructed, engineered one that is being imposed on us, into as basic as telling my kids, this is what I have done for our country. And this is the example that I am giving to you to be responsible enough to do it for everyone else. For me, it goes to that level of personal touch and fear of not having it. And fear.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I can feel that. I mean, I am actually a life coach as well, and I'm a neurolinguistic practitioner, so I can sense the emotion that you're saying it with a lot of emotions because you have experienced it in firsthand. So thank you for really sharing it, and I hope you're doing well. How about you? Just
Yeah, first of all, was the organizing of the GSF hard? I have been living in Gaza for a long time. I have experienced several wars, 51 days in 2014, 11 days in 2021. I was nearly at every march that they did in the march, the Great March of Return in 2018. And I would happily live any of those days again rather than living one day of organizing the GSF. That's how hard it was and how hard the journey was, with the exception, of course, of what is happening today in Gaza, because that's too big of a comparison to be put into words. However, I would like to maybe wrap this session with a story that I think should make us have a sense of why we are doing this and why we should do this. And it is a story that I experienced myself in 2021 when the 11-day bombings were happening all over the Gaza Strip. And we heard the news of this one building that was destroyed and bombed. And we heard that there was a whole family that was still under the rubble, and the police and the fire department was going to try and save this family that was under the rubble. So we went to the site. We saw how they were working with all the little equipment that they had, and they were trying to take the people from under the rubble. And some of the others that were there, the relatives and the family members of the people that were still under the building, they were talking to each other, and they were saying, look, someone is still alive under the rubble. They are giving us messages. A girl is there and she is sending us messages. I am still alive. Everyone beside me is dead. Please save me. Please do something. And the fire department was trying its best to save the girl that was still alive under the rubble. And after 2 or 3 hours, they managed to get the girl out. But unfortunately, she had been killed, and she was martyred during that event. So what is happening to us now actually is everyone is being sent text messages, videos, calls by the people of Palestine. And it is your choice to answer that call, to answer that text message that you are receiving. And mark my words, if you do not answer it today, tomorrow, and in the near future, you will be the one ringing for help from other people, and no one will answer your call.
Thank you so much. It was an honor, really, to meet you all, and I wish you all the best on this course. And definitely, I will also be a part of it as well, as much as I can, inshallah.